Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's video. We're going to have a look at the weather for next week to 10 days. In today's video, which takes us around the 30th of August, we'll also have a look at CFS V2, which takes us well into September. So we're in a pretty warm and humid air mass at the moment, albeit with a lot of clouds, so we're not necessarily realising the temperature potential that we could have. It could be really very warm indeed across much of the country today. But it's a humid air mass, it's a warm air mass. We're going to keep this going for the next couple of days. But then in the second half of the week, we're going to see a cold front bringing a drop in the temperature. It's going to turn a lot cooler, and it is going to turn more unsettled as well. And there are now question marks about this bank holiday weekend. Just how unsettled is it going to be? So obviously we'll be covering that period of the bank holiday through this update, but your fourth late summer bank holiday weekend update will actually be with you this evening. We'll be doing that this evening, but there are question marks. Now, as we go into next week and we start to move away from August into the beginning of September, there are signs that high pressure is going to re-establish. So, I've explained in videos before, early September is often a period where you get high pressure building in. The first week of September is one of the singularities that we have within the weather, where we do very often see high pressure bringing warm, dry conditions. It looks like that's going to be the case this year, though it is in the extended range of the model output, so it's unreliable, but that's certainly the way models are trending at most. So it could well be that as we start autumn, we revert back to summer, and I'll tell you for everything that's going on very shortly. But first of all, I've got to give a shout out and a thank you to our latest donor. So we have had a new donation to Gazworthy, so a big thank you to the person who has donated to us. You'll know who you are. They have asked if they could say anonymous, so I'll just say big thank you to our latest anonymous donor for Gazworthy. You'll know who you are, and thanks so much for your donation. It really is very kind of you to do that for Gazworthy. If you would like to make a donation to Gazworthy, you can do it via the Gazworthy's PayPal page. I'm on the Gazworthy's.me PayPal page. We link to this at all of the pages at Gazworthy's and within the description box at YouTube. So you can just come here. You've got a PayPal account. It's very simple, straightforward. You just sign into your PayPal account and then donate whatever money you would like to donate. You'll get a mention in the videos if you want one, as a few people have chosen to remain anonymous, such as our latest donor, and that's absolutely fine. We respect your wishes if that's what you would like to do. So just leave a little note with your donation telling us that you prefer to stay anonymous, and that is not a problem. If you want to shout out in the video, so you will get one, you'll get a mention in the vids, and maybe you wouldn't want to mention for yourself, but you might want one for your website or for your business. We're happy to do that as well if you want it in the name of a website or a business. We're happy to do that. Maybe you would do it on behalf of somebody else and ask us to give a donation, give a mention to that person. So we're happy to do that as well. So however you want to do it, then that's perfectly fine. You just have to let us know with your donation. There's a little box where you can add a note if you would like something a little bit different in terms of a business or a website being mentioned, or you're doing a donation in the name of somebody else, for example. The other way of doing it is through Patreon. So you can become a patron for Gazworthy. This is the Gazworthy's Patreon page. So this is kind of like an ongoing monthly donation to Gazworthy. The PayPal idea is like a single donation. This is an ongoing monthly donation, although you can cancel at any time, of course. So if you want to become a patron of Gazworthy, you just come to the Patreon page. Again, we link to this at all the pages at Gazworthy's and within the description at YouTube. You just come here, you sign up for a Patreon account, and then you can donate any amount of money you would like to donate on an ongoing monthly basis. It could be anything as little as $1 a month, so it doesn't have to be a large amount of money whatsoever. And again, you will become a patron, an official patron for Gazworthy. You'll get a mention in the videos and a thank you. Well, big thanks to all of the donors and all of the patrons for Gazworthy. It does mean a huge amount to all of us at Gazworth is that you are doing this for the website to help keep the content completely free, and also you're helping to pay for the website. We're trying to upgrade the facilities, for example, add radar images to Gazworth Vids. That's a project we're hoping to bring you at some point in the future, and so it's all helping to pay for these developments. So a big thank you to all of the patrons and all of the donors for Gazworth Vids for helping to keep our content completely free, and hopefully be able to upgrade the services we provide as well. Right, so let's get on with today's video, and we're going to have a look at the weather for the next week to 10 days from the Penn State University. First of all, so these are the 500 millibar high anomaly flowcharts from the Penn State University in America. We've got the ECMDF here on the top, and the GFS, which we'll have a look in a moment, is on the bottom. 500 millibars, 80,000 feet is an area in the atmosphere, high pressure and low pressure being moved around by the jet stream running above. Blue extrapolates to low pressure, and yellow and orange to high pressure. These are mean flow charts for 7 to 10 days time, so it takes us more or less to the end of August, where we find we've got below average heights up to the north around Greenland and Iceland, above average heights in the middle of the Atlantic, and the flow on the jet is coming through the Atlantic rather like that. So it's still a little bit unsettled, a little bit changeable with the ECMDF, although that high pressure to southwest is getting a little bit more of a foothold. The GFS actually builds that high pressure up even more, actually. So even by the end of August, we're looking at high pressure coming back. The above average heights there, the orange colours, are returning into the UK. Notice starting to reach to this red area that's up over sort of western parts of Russia and northern Scandinavia. So that's trying to get back to the pattern we had through the earlier part of the summer, where we had the ridge from the Azores up to Scandinavia. It's not quite there. There's still a little bit of an influence from the jet stream coming across the Atlantic, but it does look as though early September, or very late August into early September, we may well build this high pressure up a lot more once again. So these are the GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles for the next couple of weeks. The red line here is a 30-year upper air temperature average. Look at Birmingham today. So the next couple of days are going to be warm. We've got warm air established. The only problem is that there's going to be a lot of cloud, so we won't really realise that warm temperature potential, except where the sun comes out for prolonged periods. But nevertheless, it's a warm and a humid air mass. But from Wednesday to Thursday onwards, we get this very dramatic looking drop in the temperatures, go really quite cool indeed. By the end of the week, we're down here, which is a long way under the 30-year average. Bear in mind, the sun still has quite a bit of strength to it, so it won't be quite as dramatic as it looks. But nevertheless, there will be a chill, a bit of an autumnal chill, I think, at the end of the week. And that takes us into the bank holiday weekend, where now the temperatures are looking rather lowly. They're looking like they're struggling a little bit over the bank holiday weekend. It's not really until we get through to the very end of August, start of September, this period just here, but we are seeing signs of the temperatures beginning to rise once again. As far as the precipitation part of the ensembles are concerned for Birmingham, a lot of dry weather coming up over the next few days. Not completely dry. This change from the warm air mass we're in at the moment to the much cooler air mass at the end of the week does involve a cold front, and we're not sure how active that cold front is going to be. It looks like it'll be pretty weak, but it'll probably bring at the very least showers down from the northwest. Now you'll notice these precipitation spikes just here. This is a wet spell that's beginning to show up for the bank holiday weekend. I said at the start of the video, we're unsure about how unsettled this bank holiday weekend is going to be, but there are question marks about it now. We'll have more about this for the fourth bank holiday update, which will be coming up for you this evening. But there are rainfall spikes in there for the weekend, so we may see some wet weather over the weekend. And as we go through to the very end of August into the start of September, it looks like essentially we've got a drying trend as it's beginning to warm up once again. The temperature anomaly is looking like that from the 20th through to 28th of August. It's coming out close to average, possibly even ever so slightly cooler than average, which is something we haven't seen much of at all through this summer. So quite a cool week in comparison to what we've had through most of this summer, coming up. I mean, we're not talking about particularly cold or cool weather at all, but certainly compared to what we've had through most of the summer, even going back into April and May, we've had very few periods that have been cooler than average. So that is one of the coolest anomalies to average that we've seen for several months, I think, actually. The precipitation anomaly looks like that, and most parts are still coming out a little bit drier than average. So obviously there is a bit of rainfall around, and especially so over the bank holiday weekend, we may get some wet weather then. But nevertheless, overall, the precipitation anomaly is coming out still a little bit on the drier than average side. There's the GFS for Thursday. This is our changeover day where we lose that warmth and humidity that we've got at the moment across much of the country. There's a cold front coming southwards, as I say. We're not sure how active it is, but behind it the air mass changes. The air is originating from the south of Greenland, so it will be turning a lot cooler as we get through to the end of the week. Winds actually swing into the north on Friday, and that's bringing down showers as well, maybe some longer spells of rain for northern parts of the country. And then this is the uncertainty. This is Saturday, 6 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. We've got this area of low pressure out to the west of Ireland. Where is that low pressure going? If it goes down there towards the Bay of Biscay, we'll just have showers over the bank holiday weekend. But if that low pressure is moved in that direction, then it's going to bring quite a lot of heavy rain from Saturday and possibly lasting into Sunday. This latest GFS run actually takes a low pressure in that track. So this is 6 o'clock in the morning on Sunday, where we've got the low pressure just to the southeast of England. And that would bring a very wet weather from Saturday into Sunday, particularly across England and Wales. And it's cool as well because the wind is still in from the north. So this bank holiday is looking increasingly dodgy, really, through the early part of it. Anyway, now by bank holiday Monday, 27th, we're actually starting to re-establish this ridge again. So that low pressure's gone away and the ridge is beginning to come back. So after probably quite a wet Saturday and Sunday, actually things start to settle down on bank holiday Monday. Not particularly warm, but at least it is beginning to settle down, and there will be dry and warm, dry and sunny conditions, if not particularly warm. Heading up towards day 10, this GFS run inflates the high pressure across the country again, so that takes us to day 10, Thursday the 30th of August, and by then we are back under a large area of high pressure. So that would be closing out the summer and closing out August on a dry and warm note. You get temperatures at least to the mid to possibly upper 20s Celsius with that. And then in the more extended range, going into sort of September, actually we keep these anticyclonic conditions going. So these are classic early September charts. We get to the start of autumn and we are back into summer weather with temperatures at least into the mid, if not the upper 20s Celsius. By the very end of the GFS run, which is Wednesday the 5th of September, just seeing signs perhaps of turning things cooler and more unsettled. So after those opening days that are very warm and dry, possibly we start to turn things a bit cooler there right at the end of the GFS run. And then we're on to the ECMWF. So again, we've got the changeover taking place from Thursday to Friday into that cooler and more unsettled air mass. There's the low pressure that the GFS wants to bring in across the UK on Saturday to Sunday. It's out in the middle of the Atlantic on Saturday on the ECM. We're putting down these cold or cool northerly winds. Where does that low pressure go? Well, it's very difficult to say because this runs in a 24-hourly sort of step, but it looks like that low pressure has possibly moved over there into the North Sea. So it looks like it has probably pushed across the country through the course of Saturday and brought us quite a wet day. But then we go through to Bank Holiday Monday and we find again that the ridge is beginning to re-establish from the southwest. So it turns a little bit drier as we get through to the second half of the Bank Holiday weekend. And then getting up towards day 10, that high pressure starts becoming increasingly influential. That is day 10, Thursday the 30th of August with the ECM. And we find that the high pressure is building back in from the Atlantic once more. GEM looks like this, so the changeover takes place Thursday to Friday into that cooler air mass. There's the low pressure out to the west of Ireland at midnight on Saturday. That low pressure looks like it's just about missing us. It is grazing Ireland and the far southwest of the country by midnight on Sunday. But it looks like that's mainly taking the rain down in towards the Bay of Biscay and into France. It's a very close run thing. That's Bank Holiday Monday. Still looking a bit unsettled, really. It's not till we get beyond the Bank Holiday weekend, but it looks like we're starting to get the ridge beginning to build again from the southwest. Not as strong with that ridge as compared to the GFS in particular. So where that will go beyond that, difficult to say. We could possibly see the ridge strengthening further as we go into the final day of August and into start of September. Alternatively, this low pressure in the Atlantic could just roll in over top and flatten the ridge off. So that's one of those charts that's poised to go potentially either way with the GEM. Finally, just having a look at the CFS V2 for the next month, then these are the 500 millibar height anomaly flow charts. They're broken down into week periods. The first week period takes us from the 20th through to the 26th of August, with above average heights in the middle of the Atlantic and below average heights to the north of the country. It's a rather more unsettled week coming up, with more influence from a jet stream and that low pressure up to the north. So whilst it's not a washout of a week by any means, it is somewhat cooler and somewhat more unsettled compared to what we've had through much of this summer. However, look what it's doing by week 2. This is the 27th of August to the 2nd of September, and back comes the ridge. So we've got ridge building through the UK, and it's going up to Scandinavia. This is very similar to what we had through the earlier part of the summer through June and July. Of course, it won't be as hot as it was in July. That very intense heat is really difficult. You can still get intense heat at the start of September, actually, but it's very difficult to do it because the sun is so much weaker. So it won't be as hot as it was through July and even back into June. But nevertheless, it's still warm, dry conditions returning for the very end of August into the start of September, if the CFS V2 is right with the jet stream going back to our north. That's week 3. It takes us from the 3rd through to the 9th of September. The above average heights then are generally a little bit centred to the south-southwest. Below average heights weekly to the north. A little bit more influence from the jet stream again. So that mainly dry for the south, a little bit more unsettled than the north. Temperatures probably going back closer to average, and then we go through to week 4, which is the 10th to the 16th of September, with rather an odd looking chart. Above average heights are centred to the south, but also ridging through the UK and trying to go to the north as well. But the jet stream is probably doing something a bit like that. Quite where that's going, I'm not sure. If that ridge was to start to become centred up here, it looks like it's possible that it might be trying to do that. Then that would take us into a much cooler and much more unsettled second half to September. But of course, that is a really long way off anyway. Temperature anomalies in the next week are a bit cooler than average for Scotland and Northern Ireland, but a bit warmer than average for England and Wales. Week 2 temperature anomalies are close to or a little bit above average as well. Week 3 temperature anomalies generally significantly warmer than average for England and Wales, closer to average for Scotland. And then week 4, rounding it all off, that comes out warmer than average as well. So this is a very warm first half to September, if the CFS is right. For precipitation, so it's close to average in the week ahead. Week 1 is coming out close to average. Week 2 is coming out drier than average, quite significantly so, from the 27th to the 2nd of September. Week 3 goes close to average with the precipitation again, there it is, and then week 4 is also close to average with precipitation, possibly going a bit wetter than average over Scotland and Northern Ireland, so that's a bit odd when we compare that to the 500 millibar height anomaly. That week 4 500 millibar height anomaly did look quite strange, so we'll wait and see what's happening there. Coming back to the more immediate time frame, which is the next week to 10 days, so we're starting off pretty warm at the moment. It's going to turn cooler and probably more unsettled. By the end of the week, we're looking at showers, and those temperatures will take a bit of a dip as well. We go into the weekend, and there's question marks about that. How unsettled will this bank holiday weekend be? We've got the 4th late summer bank holiday weekend update coming up for you this evening, and then next week the trend looks like it's increasingly going back towards high pressure. So as we get to the start of September, start of autumn, we see a return of summer. That very often happens many years, so it's not particularly unexpected that would happen. Obviously, that's a long way off, and we'll be keeping you updated about it over the rest of this week at GazWeatherViz. Tomorrow, we're going to look at the ECMWF 30-day ensembles, so that will take us well into September with the ECMWF model, and we'll have other updates for you as well tomorrow. But that's all for now, and thanks for watching.